Here you go. Who's a good dog? You are. Yes, you are.
The morning begins the way it always does. Soft sunlight stretches across the quiet living room. A kettle hums in the kitchen. Outside, birds settle into the rhythm of a calm day just beginning. Near the door, the dog lifts his head. He doesn't rush. He doesn't bark. Instead, he walks slowly across the floor and picks up a small, worn toy from the corner. The fabric is faded. One ear barely hangs on. It's clearly been loved, carefully, repeatedly. With the toy held gently in his mouth, the dog pads toward the front gate. He stops there. Sits. Waits. At first, no one notices. The moment is too ordinary, too quiet. But then the human turns, coffee still warm in their hands, and sees him sitting perfectly still, eyes focused beyond the fence, the toy resting like a message he refuses to drop. "Hey, what are you doing there?" The words are soft, almost playful. The dog doesn't move. Minutes pass. The gate remains closed. The street beyond stays empty. Yet the dog's posture doesn't change. There is no anxiety in him, only patience. Purpose. A calm certainty that something belongs right here, right now. The human steps closer. Kneels. Reaches out, but the dog gently shifts the toy away, placing it neatly at the base of the gate instead. Then he sits again, tail still, eyes steady. That's when the feeling arrives. Not worry. Not fear. But a quiet sense that this moment matters. Whatever the dog is waiting for. Whatever the toy represents. It isn't random. And the meaning behind this simple act, this small toy placed so carefully at the gate, will soon reveal a truth far more tender than anyone expected. Morning arrives quietly. Not with alarms or urgency, but with light. Soft sunlight slips through the curtains, stretching across the living room floor in slow, golden bands. Dust floats gently in the air, visible only when the light hits just right. Somewhere in the distance, a lawn sprinkler clicks on. A neighbor's car door shuts. Normal sounds. Comforting sounds. The house is still. In the kitchen, a kettle begins to warm. Not boiling yet, just humming. That low, familiar sound that says the day has started, but there's no rush. Near the hallway, the dog lifts his head. He's been lying there for a while, chin resting on his paws, eyes half closed. He doesn't jump up. Doesn't stretch dramatically. He simply opens his eyes a little wider, and listens. His ears tilt, not sharply, not alert with urgency, just enough. The house smells like morning. Warm wood. Clean air. Coffee waiting to happen. The dog rises slowly. His nails make the softest sound against the floor as he walks. Each step is unhurried. Thoughtful. Like he already knows where he's going. In the corner of the living room sits a small toy. It isn't bright anymore. Once, maybe it was. But time has softened it. The fabric is faded. One seam is loose. One ear droops at an angle that looks accidental but familiar. It carries the scent of hands, floors, days gone by. The dog stops in front of it. He looks down. There's no excitement in his posture. No playful bounce. No wagging tail. Instead, there's focus. He lowers his head and gently picks the toy up, careful not to tug too hard on the worn fabric. He adjusts it once in his mouth, like he wants it to sit just right. Then he turns toward the door. The front door is closed, as always in the morning. Beyond it, the gate waits, quiet, metal cool to the touch, separating the house from the street outside. The dog walks toward it. Each step is calm. Measured. When he reaches the gate, he stops. He sits. The toy remains in his mouth, held gently, almost respectfully. His back is straight. His eyes are steady, not fixed on the door itself, but on something beyond it. Somewhere past the fence. Past the sidewalk. Past the familiar view. Time passes. The kettle clicks off in the kitchen. Footsteps approach slow, barefoot steps across the floor. The human enters the room, one hand rubbing sleep from their eyes, the other already reaching for a mug. They don't notice the dog at first. Why would they? This is home. This is routine. But then, something feels different. The human pauses. Their eyes land on the dog, sitting by the gate. Still. Quiet. Holding the toy. Ha! The word comes out softly. Almost a whisper. The human tilts their head, watching for movement. For a wag. For a glance back. Nothing. The dog doesn't turn. Buddy? A gentle voice. Calm. Familiar. The dog's ears flick just once, but he doesn't move. The human steps closer, curiosity rising slowly, like warmth spreading through a room. They kneel beside him, close enough to see the texture of the toy, the way its fabric has thinned with time. That old thing again? There's a faint smile in the voice. A hint of fond amusement. The human reaches out. Before their fingers touch the toy, the dog lowers his head and gently places it on the ground right at the base of the gate. Carefully. Deliberately. Then he sits back. The human freezes. Not because something is wrong, but because something feels intentional. The dog's posture doesn't change. His breathing is slow. Even. Calm. There's no tension in him. No anxiety. Only patience. Minutes slip by. Outside, the world moves on. A jogger passes. A car rolls down the street. The gate remains closed. The toy stays where it is. The human sits down beside the dog, back against the wall, coffee warming their hands. They don't speak now. They simply watch, following the line of the dog's gaze beyond the fence. What are you waiting for? The question is soft. Curious. Almost tender. The dog doesn't answer. He never does. But he leans just slightly into the human's leg. A small gesture. Easy to miss. Yet in that quiet contact, something settles. Not worry. Not fear. But a feeling. A gentle sense that this moment matters more than it seems. That this toy, this gate, this calm, unmoving wait, is not an accident. And as the sunlight continues to warm the floor, one truth becomes quietly clear. Whatever the dog is doing, he is remembering something. And soon, the meaning behind it will begin to unfold. The next morning arrives the same way. Light first. Then sound. Then stillness. The house wakes slowly, stretching into the day without urgency. Sunlight spills across the floor again, landing almost in the same places as yesterday, like the day remembers where it left off. The dog lifts his head. Not suddenly. Not alert with excitement. Just awake. He listens. The kettle hasn't started yet. The human is still asleep. The house is quiet enough to hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the soft tick of the wall clock. The dog rises. His steps are familiar now, tracing the same path across the living room. His body language carries no hesitation. No confusion. He stops at the same corner. The toy is still there. It hasn't moved since yesterday. The dog lowers his head and takes it gently, adjusting his grip until the fabric rests comfortably between his teeth. The worn ear brushes against his chin as he turns toward the door. Again. He walks to the gate. Again. And just like before, he sits. Toy in mouth. Back straight. Eyes forward. Time passes. The human appears moments later, wrapped in a sweater, hair still sleep-tousled. They stop short when they see him. You're doing it again. The words come out quietly, more curious than surprised. The dog doesn't look back. The human watches longer this time. They lean against the wall instead of moving closer, giving the moment space to exist on its own. Yesterday felt like coincidence. This does not. The human checks the time on their phone. Still early. Too early for deliveries. Too early for visitors. The street outside remains calm, unchanged. They step closer. Is there something out there? Their voice is gentle, playful even. They peer through the gate, scanning the sidewalk, the street, the empty stretch beyond. Nothing. When they turn back, the dog is still there, unmoving, unbothered by the lack of response from the world. The human kneels beside him again. This time, they don't reach for the toy. They just sit. They notice things they didn't yesterday. The way the dog's jaw holds the toy, not clenched, not loose. The careful balance. The way his breathing stays slow, almost meditative. The absence of restlessness. This isn't waiting like a dog waits for a walk. This is different. After a few minutes, the dog lowers the toy to the ground, placing it carefully at the same spot by the gate. He nudges it once, lining it up neatly. Then he sits back. The human exhales slowly. Okay. The word hangs in the air. They don't know why, but something about the repetition stirs a quiet memory. Not a clear one. Just a feeling. Like hearing a familiar song without remembering where it came from. The human reaches out and runs their fingers lightly over the toy's faded fabric. This used to be someone's favorite, didn't it? The dog's tail gives a single, slow wag. Not excitement. Acknowledgement. The human smiles softly, heartwarming without knowing why. They leave the toy where it is and sit beside the dog, mirroring his stillness. Together, they face the gate. Minutes pass again. Nothing happens. And yet, nothing feels unfinished. Eventually, the dog stands, turns, and walks away, leaving the toy behind. The human watches him go, then looks back at the small shape resting at the gate. A quiet thought settles in. This wasn't a random moment. It was the first sign of a pattern. And whatever the dog was remembering, he was going to remember it again. By the third morning, the human is waiting. Not openly. Not standing by the door or watching the clock. Just aware. The house wakes as it always does, soft light, quiet air, the slow beginning of sound, but something has shifted. A thread of attention runs beneath the routine now, pulling gently toward the living room. The dog lifts his head. The human sees it this time. They pause in the hallway, coffee not yet poured, and watch from a distance. They don't speak. They don't move. The dog rises. He walks with the same calm certainty, his steps steady, unhurried. He stops at the corner, nose hovering just above the toy. For a brief moment, he hesitates. Not uncertainty. More like consideration. Then he picks it up. The human's chest tightens slightly. Not with worry, with recognition. He's choosing it. The dog turns toward the door again, carrying the toy as though it belongs exactly there. When he reaches the gate, he sits. Same spot. Same posture. The human exhales slowly and steps closer, careful not to disturb the moment. They sit nearby, back against the wall, close enough to feel the warmth of the dog's body but far enough to let him remain undisturbed. They watch. The dog doesn't shift his weight. Doesn't glance back. His eyes remain fixed forward, steady and patient. The human begins to notice details they'd overlooked before. The timing, always the same part of the morning. The way the toy never gets chewed or played with. The quiet dignity in the way it's placed. This isn't play. This is offering. A small breeze slips through the crack beneath the door, carrying the scent of grass and distant pavement. The human breathes it in, letting the silence settle. Did you bring that for someone? The question is barely above a whisper. The dog's ears flick. Once. The human smiles, not because they expect an answer, but because asking feels right. They think back. The toy has been in the house for years. Longer than most things. It survived moves, rearrangements, cleanouts. Somehow, it was never thrown away. Because it meant something. The human's fingers trace the stitching. Their memory stirs again, soft, incomplete images. Laughter. A smaller presence. A voice calling the dog's name in a different tone. The dog shifts slightly and places the toy down, aligning it carefully against the base of the gate. He nudges it until it's just right. Then he sits. The human swallows. Oh! The sound slips out without intention. Not because the truth is clear, but because something is beginning to connect. They stay like that for a long time. Watching the empty street. Listening to the world breathe. Eventually, the human stands and opens the gate just a little, just enough to test the moment. The dog doesn't move. He doesn't rush forward. Doesn't step back. He only watches. The human gently closes the gate again, heart beating a bit faster now. This isn't about the gate being open. It's about who the dog believes should come through it. And for the first time, the human understands. The dog isn't waiting for something to happen. He's waiting for someone. The next morning, nothing is said. No questions. No commentary. The human moves through the house quietly, as if words might disturb something fragile. Light spills in through the windows, softer today, filtered by thin clouds that blur the edges of the world. The dog lifts his head. The human notices and sits down. They don't wait to see what he'll do. They don't pretend this is coincidence anymore. They simply take their place near the gate, back resting against the wall, hands folded loosely in their lap. The dog stands. He walks to the corner. Picks up the toy. No hesitation this time. When he reaches the gate, he doesn't sit right away. Instead, he pauses, glancing at the human just for a second. Not seeking permission. Checking presence. The human meets his eyes and gives the smallest nod. It's enough. The dog sets the toy down gently, nudging it into place, then sits beside it. His shoulder brushes against the human's knee. Warm. Steady. They sit together in silence. Outside, the street wakes slowly. A delivery truck hums past. Leaves rustle along the curb. Somewhere down the block, a door opens and closes. None of it pulls the dog's attention away. The human leans their head back against the wall and closes their eyes for a moment, letting the quiet wrap around them. Their breathing matches the dog's without effort. In that stillness, memories begin to surface, not sharply, not painfully. Just, gently. A smaller pair of shoes by the door. A laugh that filled the house in a different way. A voice calling, "Don't forget it." The human opens their eyes and looks at the toy. Of course. Their chest tightens, not with sadness yet, but with understanding beginning to bloom. You always brought it with you, didn't you? The dog's tail moves once. Slow. Soft. The human smiles through the feeling in their throat. I forgot, they whisper. But you didn't. Minutes pass. The dog remains still, eyes forward, posture calm and certain. He isn't tense. He isn't longing. He's honoring. The human places their hand on the floor beside the toy, not touching it, just near it. Sharing the space. Sharing the meaning. They don't try to move the toy. They don't open the gate. They simply sit. The sun climbs higher, warming the wall behind them. Light catches the faded fabric of the toy, making its worn edges glow softly. Eventually, the dog leans into the human's side a little more, weight settling comfortably. The human rests their hand on his back. In that quiet moment, something unspoken passes between them. This waiting is not lonely. It is full. And together, without needing to say it aloud, they understand. This ritual isn't about the past alone. It's about keeping love present, in the most gentle way possible. That afternoon, the human finally moves the toy. Not far. Not carelessly. They pick it up with both hands, feeling the familiar softness give slightly under their fingers. The fabric still holds a faint scent: home, time, memory. They sit on the couch and turn it over slowly. There's a small tear near the seam, a place where it was stitched once, by hand. The human's breath catches. I remember this. The words come out quietly, almost surprised. The memory doesn't rush in. It arrives the way the mornings do now, slow, respectful. A smaller voice. A careful request. Can you fix it? The human closes their eyes. They remember sitting on the floor late one evening, needle in hand, the dog watching nearby. And someone else sitting cross-legged, holding the toy like it mattered more than anything in the world. The human opens their eyes. The dog is watching them. Not intensely. Just present. You always waited by the gate with this, the human says softly. Every afternoon. The dog's ears lift slightly. A clue. The human sets the toy back near the gate, not in its exact spot, but close. Just to see. The dog walks over. Studies it. Then, carefully, nudges it back into position. Straight. Aligned. Exactly where it belongs. The human exhales slowly. That evening, they find an old photo tucked inside a drawer. The edges are bent. The colors slightly faded. A sunny day. The gate wide open. A small figure standing just outside it, laughing. And beside them, the dog. The same toy in his mouth. The human's throat tightens. Oh! The sound is barely there. That night, sleep comes gently. No heaviness. Just warmth. In the morning, the ritual continues. Toy. Gate. Stillness. But now, the human sees the details more clearly. The timing lines up with school hours from years ago. The dog's gaze rests at a height meant for someone smaller. The way he never crosses the gate himself. He's waiting where he always did. The human sits beside him, heart full in a quiet, aching way. You think they're coming back, they whisper. The dog leans into their leg. Not hope. Not confusion. Love. The human smiles softly, eyes shining. He remembers the happiest part, they say. And in that moment, the mystery deepens, not with sadness, but with gratitude. Because the truth is becoming clear. The dog isn't holding onto loss. He's holding onto joy. Morning light filters through the curtains with a softer glow today, almost as if the world itself is leaning in to witness what is about to unfold. The house is quiet. The familiar hum of the refrigerator, the faint creak of floorboards, even the distant sound of traffic, it all blends into a gentle symphony of stillness. The human enters the living room, coffee in hand, heart beating just slightly faster than usual. They pause at the threshold, seeing the dog already alert, ears tilted, eyes fixed on the gate. The dog rises. He moves with purpose, yet slowly, deliberately. Every step measured. Every paw falls silent on the hardwood. He stops at the corner where the toy rests, lifts it carefully, and turns toward the gate. The human follows silently, kneeling beside him. Not to intervene. Not to question. Just to witness. The dog approaches the gate and sits, toy in place, eyes forward. But today, something is different. He shifts his gaze slightly, scanning beyond the fence, as if sensing something, someone approaching. The human leans closer, breath shallow with anticipation, feeling the subtle change in the air. Minutes pass. Then, a small movement down the street. A figure emerges, walking slowly but steadily. Familiar posture. Familiar rhythm. The human's chest tightens. Their hand instinctively reaches toward the dog, but they hesitate. They don't want to disturb this sacred moment. The dog tilts his head, tail wagging just slightly, eyes never leaving the figure. Recognition. Connection. Pure intuition. The human's breath catches in their throat. Memories flood in laughter, mornings, afternoons filled with sunlight and warmth. The toy. The gate. The ritual. All of it had been leading to this exact moment. The figure draws closer. The dog rises, steps forward cautiously, then stops, respecting the boundary of the gate. He sets the toy down carefully, nudging it toward the approaching person as if offering it not as a gift, but as a bridge. The human leans against the wall, overwhelmed. Heart pounding. Tears prick at the edges of their eyes. They witness the culmination of years of memory, love, and patient intuition. The figure reaches the gate. Kneels. Smiles softly at the dog. A hand extends, hesitating above the toy, then lowers gently to touch it. The dog nudges it again, then looks up, eyes bright, focused, full of trust. A single, quiet moment passes between them. No words. No urgency. Just understanding. The human realizes now this was never about loss. It was about reunion. Recognition. Acknowledgement of love remembered. And as the sunlight catches the dog's fur, warm and golden, the human feels something profound. The mystery is not only about the past, it is about honoring it, about making it live again in the quiet, gentle moments. The dog sits back, tail resting against the floor. Calm. Certain. Purpose fulfilled. The human whispers, almost to themselves, almost to the dog, "You did it, you remembered. You waited." And the dog leans gently against their leg, as if to say, "Yes. I knew. I always knew." The emotional turning point has arrived. The bond, once subtle, now resonates fully. The past, the ritual, the love, it all converges into a single, heart-touching moment. The day unfolds with a quiet reverence. The sunlight spills in through the windows, bathing the room in warm, golden hues. Shadows stretch lazily across the floor, moving gently with the shifting light. The house seems to hold its breath, aware that something profound is taking place. The dog sits by the gate, toy carefully positioned at his paws. His eyes are bright and steady, focused not on the toy, but on the figure now standing before him. The human watches from the side, heart swelling, a soft smile tugging at their lips. The figure kneels, brushing a stray lock of hair from their face, and reaches out. Fingers tremble slightly, not with fear, but with emotion. They touch the toy, feeling the worn fabric, the faded colors, the history stitched into every seam. The dog nudges it forward once more, gently encouraging the connection. Then he sits back, tail still, eyes locked on the approaching hand. The human finally understands. It's not just a toy. It's a symbol. A bridge. A silent message of love, loyalty, and remembrance. The figure speaks softly, voice almost swallowed by the warmth of the moment. "I remember everything." The dog's ears flick. Recognition passes between them like sunlight through glass. Every moment of patience, every quiet morning spent at the gate, every careful placement of the toy, it all makes sense now. The dog had been guiding, waiting, reminding. His actions were never random. Never trivial. The human kneels beside the dog, placing a hand on his head. Warm, steady, and full of gratitude. "You've always known," they whisper. "You've always remembered." The dog leans gently into their touch, calm and assured, as if to confirm, yes, he always did. Outside, the breeze stirs softly. The gate stands open now, not as a barrier, but as a portal welcoming, tender. The figure steps closer, reaching down to touch the dog's head, and in that moment, the full truth unfolds. This was never about waiting for something to return. It was about honoring love that had never been forgotten. The dog's quiet wisdom had preserved it, held it safe in his gentle, unwavering presence. Tears fill the human's eyes, not of sadness, but of profound understanding. They witness the invisible threads of connection, the invisible rituals that had kept love alive. And as the dog rests his head against the figure's hand, calm and purposeful, the human knows it, some bonds transcend time. Some messages are delivered not in words, but in quiet, gentle acts of the heart. The heart-touching truth is clear. Love remembers. Love waits. And love endures. The sun begins its slow descent, casting long, soft shadows across the yard. The warm light brushes over the gate, the small toy resting neatly at its base, and the dog sitting calmly beside it. Everything feels peaceful. Settled. Complete. The human stands nearby, watching. A sense of quiet awe fills them, not just at what has happened, but at the gentle, enduring presence of the dog who made it all possible. Every soft step, every patient pause, every careful placement of the toy, they were all part of the story, woven together into a moment of reunion and understanding. The figure who approached the gate earlier now sits on the step, fingers brushing the dog's fur, their voice soft and steady. "I never realized, you've always been waiting for me," they whisper, a smile tugging at their lips. The dog leans in, pressing his head gently against their hand. His eyes shine with quiet purpose, full of the love he's carried every day. He doesn't need words. He has done what needed to be done. He has delivered the message, connected the hearts, and honored the memory. The human steps closer and places a hand on the dog's back. Warm, steady, filled with gratitude. "You've given us more than we could have imagined," they murmur. "You've kept love alive." The dog shifts slightly, tail wagging just enough to show contentment, then sits back calmly. The gate now stands open, not a barrier, but a symbol of connection, trust, and shared love. Moments pass. The three of them sit together in the gentle glow of the late afternoon, sharing quiet breaths, soft smiles, and unspoken understanding. The air is warm, comforting, and serene. Each heartbeat seems to echo the bond that has been restored, nurtured, and celebrated. The human reaches down to pick up the toy one last time, holding it close. "Thank you," they whisper, not just to the dog, but to the small, enduring love that it represents. The figure nods, eyes glistening, a silent agreement that some things, some connections, cannot be measured in time, only in presence and care. The dog rises, stretches lazily, then rests his head back on their laps. The sun dips lower, bathing the scene in a soft, golden light. The warmth of the day mirrors the warmth in their hearts. And in that shared stillness, the quiet truth settles. Love, patience, and gentle acts of care can heal, connect, and endure. Some bonds, no matter how simple or quiet, are timeless. The gate stands as a silent witness. The toy rests in its place. The dog remains, calm and purposeful. And all is finally at peace.